But Pam Bondi was carrying on the Biden era crypto persecution of Bitcoin Jesus. She carried on the COVID tyranny on Dr. Moore. She carried on the free speech tyranny against Douglas Mackey. She carried on Second Amendment violations. The government in the Brook Jackson case, this is the key term, Brook Jackson whistleblower fraud case against Pfizer, alleging that Pfizer basically fraudulently misrepresented and fraudulently delivered what it was supposed to deliver to the government, which was a safe and effective vaccine that prevents the transmission of COVID-19. There was a third part to that. Maybe I forget, but that's how you say it typically. The Biden administration came in after years of litigation and quashed your lawsuit with Brook Jackson after great cost, great investment, time, emotional, to pursue this, because Brook Jackson was a whistleblower, saw the bullshit tests that they were running at Pfizer, who paid the greatest criminal civil settlement fine in the history, at least of pharma. Maybe there was a tire. I don't know if there's another company that did a big one. But the Biden administration came in and quashed it. You're fighting to have it reinstated. And Bondi, who was counsel for Pfizer in 2021 to the tune of $250,000 in net profits, or maybe not net, gross, has yet to reinstate it. The government has yet to intervene just so that your client, Brook Jackson, can pursue this case and discover and flesh out any fraud, if any, committed by Pfizer in the context of COVID. I don't know if I'm allowed asking you. I'm going to ask you, and if you can't answer, don't answer. Have you not tried to reach Bondi directly, or is there a way to reach Bondi directly to say what the F is going on?
Oh, yeah, with everybody. There's been effort afoot. And Bondi is the one that's has prevented anybody else from being assigned the case, prevented anybody. So the people that run the Civil Appellate Division, Yakov Roth is one of those people. He and his boss both have longstanding big pharma ties. So there's problems with them being involved in any big pharma case. Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche also been involved with law firms with big pharma ties. So there was an issue that whether any of those four should have been involved, all of them stayed involved at various levels. And they kept the people assigned the case, people who are deeply anti-second-guessing anything vaccine-related. So they've had every opportunity to fix it, and they refused to fix it. Despite the egregious nature of what looks like pay-for-play in the case of Pam Bondi. So for those that don't know, her reputation was as Attorney General in Florida. If you made key donations to her friends and allies, then she made sure big criminal cases went away against you, or big civil cases went away. The Epstein cases never were developed by her, even though Epstein was there for the period of time. There was huge mortgage fraud, robo-signed documents. So long before the auto pen, there was big problems with robo-signed mortgages. That made them illegal under Florida law. Could have provided massive relief to homeowners who were put into those bad loans. And Pam Bondi did nothing about it. Protected all the big banks instead, many of which had made big donations to her or her allies or hired the lobbyists connected to her. Right there with her in all of this, or in much of it, overlapped all the way back to her days in Jacksonville when she worked and coordinated against Zimmerman, who defended himself and was wrongfully accused of murder. She also advocated aggressively for red flag laws in the state of Florida that would take away people's Second Amendment rights. So these concerns were all present when she was nominated. And there were assurances made that, don't worry, she understands what the Maha track is. You know, she would go over and talk with Bobby Kennedy, be photographed with Bobby Kennedy, put a picture of his father in the Attorney General's office because his father had been Attorney General, all the rest. Talk a big game, while behind the scenes, she was shutting down all cases of anybody who had made major donations or had previously hired her or Susie Wiles or their lobbying firm. So major criminal cases against Pfizer were pending around the world, some of which related to the COVID vaccine, but not all of which, because Pfizer is the most criminally fined corporation. You want to talk about drugs that kill people, the number one drug dealer that kills people is Pfizer. Oh, and has been for a long time. Look no further than all the big corporate fines and penalties they have paid for murdering people, killing people. That's what those fines were for. Disabling people, making them sick, knowing they're making them sick and not doing anything about it to correct it. So Pfizer comes into the Defense Department to hire under Operation Warp Speed to get a vaccine at speed and scale. And what they promised to deliver at speed and scale was a vaccine that was safe, effective, and in particular prevented COVID-19, not a therapeutic, not something that was risky, not something that was ineffective, and not something that was simply helped with some other disease. It had to be a vaccine that had not prevented COVID-19, and it had to be safe, and it had to be effective. These were contractually guaranteed terms. They lie about all four. They know it's Brook Jackson is a longstanding clinical test observer. Saw that all of they were scrapping all of the scientific methods that you would use to determine whether a drug is a drug, whether it's a therapeutic or a vaccine, whether or not it's safe or not, whether or not it fits certain risk ratios or not, whether or not it was effective or not. Did it actually serve the purposes for which someone was taking it? In this case, did it in fact prevent COVID-19? They had people out, and I mean, you could see people's medical records if you were the local janitor tattooed on the walls. You had people floating out in the hallways that are being unmonitored and unmanaged. You had people knowing what was blinded and what was not. I mean, it was just a complete joke. She reported it to her bosses. They did nothing about it. So she reported it to those bosses. They did nothing about it. And she kept encouraging ways to fix it and remedy it, at which time she was immediately fired. At the day she went to the FDA, she was fired the same day because somebody at the FDA leaked that she was a whistleblower. So she brings the suit. The government promises to meaningfully investigate. They lied to her for years while they roll this out to a lot of unsuspecting Americans that now are dead or disabled or have a loved one dead or disabled from this drug that was not a vaccine, didn't prevent COVID-19, was not safe, and was not effective. They lied about everything. All four deliverables. This is billions of dollars worth of American taxpayers.
I think it was 50 billion was what they I'll double check what they sold.
And what Brook Jackson agreed was to take the full money that was recovered out of the fraud quotient, separate from her getting wrongfully fired, that the whole fraud quotient would put aside just for victims, so that all those that have been injured by the COVID-19 vaccine could now get remedy and relief. And so this was the main case to get some form of accountability for COVID, the main case to get some sort of relief and remedy for the vaccine injured, the main case to stop and deter this from happening in the future with Big Pharma capturing public policy to our detriment. And the Biden administration said vaccines are so important, we will not support any case, they said, challenging any vaccine. That was their sole basis for it. That was the only basis they got the court to dismiss, because Brook Jackson's bringing this case as a whistleblower on behalf of the United States government. And the judge deferred to them, I think, unduly and too much, because the reason why Congress created a law whereby ordinary people get to bring these qui tam claims is because they did not trust the people in the government to not be in on it, because these qui tam laws arose after the Civil War because of how much crap Union soldiers were getting. They were getting blankets with smallpox in it. They were getting clothes with shoes with holes in them. They were getting food that made them sick. And it was like, we got to stop this from happening in the future. And so you, the private citizen, if you see something, you get to do something about it. Now, the federal government has a right to, within its policy priorities, to redirect it, but that was never intended to be a way so that corrupt rogue actors like the Biden administration, like the Justice Department under Donald J. Trump, could derail these cases. But that is, in fact, what has happened because of the rogue actions of the judges, and because Trump isn't serious about taking on Big Pharma, because Pam Bondi isn't serious, Susie Wiles isn't serious, everybody in the Civil Appellate Division is flat out lying, repeating lies, because the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert Kennedy's position is exactly the opposite of what the Biden administration's policy is, and yet they are hiding this fact and not telling this and being open and straightforward with the courts. So I'll be up there on the Fifth Circuit with Warner Mendenhall on Wednesday morning in New Orleans, down on Camp Street, explaining to the judges why Brook Jackson's case needs to go forward, should go forward, and must go forward if the law is to be affirmed and upheld. But it's sad that I have to even be there from a Trump administration that failed to keep its word to the Maha voters by continuing to protect and hide and cover up for Big Pharma, who has paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to Pam Bondi and has paid millions of dollars to lobbying firms that Chief of Staff Susie Wiles was a member of. And I have no other reason to doubt that that's why we're here where we're at.
How long is the argument scheduled for?
So it's 9 a.m. Central Standard Time in New Orleans, Louisiana. So it'll be 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I think we're up first or second. I think we have a total of 20 minutes. They have a total of 20 minutes. So Warner will be taking the lead. I will be the reply. There's two different federal prosecutors assigned the case, career prosecutors, career U.S. attorney people. They should have had assigned somebody different to the case who doesn't have this deferential approach to big pharma that I think these two lawyers have clearly shown. But I suspect people like Yakov Roth will hide in Washington and not want to be seen publicly for his continued complicity in helping pay-for-play Pam Bondi protect big pharma at all costs.
Is it going to be public? Is it going to be publicly aired? Or
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. And usually you can tune in. It's not like usually. Sometimes they have a YouTube channel. The Fifth Circuit may actually have a YouTube channel. Some of them have a YouTube channel. Some of them have a live audio feed. But one or the other will be available Wednesday morning so people can tune in and listen to the argument.
All right, awesome. Well, I will be doing that live myself. I'll make sure that I get the link from you, Robert. Okay, and then the other question was, it's a stupid question. There's no mandamus or any sort of recourse you can take against the government to force them to reinstate. I mean, you can't even make a formal motion to demand that they reinstate the case.
Well, I mean, that's sort of what we're doing in the appeal. Okay. So the appeal is saying it should not have been dismissed at the government's request and should now be reinstated. And so after the Fifth Circuit, if we don't get relief, we'll go up to the Supreme Court. They don't have to take the case, but the government will have up until the Supreme Court decides. So they'll have sometime by May or June, depending on when the Fifth Circuit makes a decision. If they rule our way, great. If they rule their way, then they'll be back on the clock to, are they going to continue to make this worse? They seem to think they can just get away with this sort of thing.
Yeah,
Pam Bondi appears to think that she can betray the voters and there be no consequence. Todd Blanche, Kash Patel, betray the voters, be no consequence. I think they're going to discover otherwise, to be blunt about it. But it shows you the mindset up there is really misplaced. That this was an excellent opportunity. There's other cases, doesn't have to be this case, but this presented the best opportunity for them to get accountability for COVID, for them to get some sort of monetary pool from a responsible party to go towards the vaccine injured, of which there are many, and some form of deterrent so it doesn't happen again. And instead, they're blowing it because that's basically what Pam Bondi's DOJ does.